So, most of us are pretty familiar with Halo. If you're like a gamer or an avid video game enthusiast, you probably know about Bungie's hit series set in a sci fi universe engulfed with war. Halo, which is one of Microsoft's biggest profitable games, was a huge part of my early gaming experience as a kid, and I know I'm not the only one. While Microsoft Game Studios published our beloved, that didn't stop the existence of a strange, unfamiliar port to the DS to come into existence and suddenly disappear. Now, if you're familiar with any of the previous videos I've done, then you should know that I was a DS kid. It's true. So when I found out about these two worlds colliding, I knew we'd have an interesting and perplexing case of lost media on our hands. Today, we're going to be talking about just that. So why don't you go ahead and sit back, relax, grab a snack, get some water, maybe whip out the old DS, and get cozy. Because today, we're talking about the mysterious case of the lost, unsolicited DS port of Halo. Ah, Halo, how we love you so. Halo Combat Evolved began development in 1997. Originally beginning as a real-time strategy game, Halo Combat Evolved would undergo many different changes during its development into what we're familiar with today. The game went from being an RTS to third-person to finally becoming a first-person shooter. It was first shown off at E3 in 1999, and many who experienced the game for the first time said it was an absolute mind-blower. On November 15th, 2001, Halo Combat Evolved was released. It was developed by the video game company Bungie, who was most popular beforehand for Pathways into Darkness from 1993, Myth of the Fallen Lords from 1997, and more. In June of 2000, Microsoft acquired Bungie, so when Halo Combat Evolved was released in 2001, it was published by Microsoft Game Studios. The game was different from previous Bungie games in the fact that it was the first-person shooter game, and while FPS games weren't uncommon, see games like Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, and GoldenEye 007, Halo Combat Evolved took the world of gaming to a new sci-fi world that was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. The story was new and inventive, with the player being set in a far future where aliens and space travel are the norm. You play as a United Nations Space Command, or UNSC soldier, known as Master Chief, waking up from a long sleep. You're aboard the Pillar of Autumn as it gets invaded by the Covenant. You fight your way through the ship and escape onto a massive Halo ring, overrun by Covenant forces and a strange infestation called the Flood. Master Chief must fight his way across the ring and make sure that the Covenant do not harness its power for evil, and more importantly, he must destroy the Flood. I absolutely adore this game. It's fun, it's right to the point, and I believe it was actually the first FPS I ever played as a kid. Upon the release of Combat Evolved, the game received high praise and even a bunch of awards as well, so it really came as no surprise that Bungie would go on to develop Halo 2 and subsequently the rest of the Halo series. Halo Combat Evolved was made available on the original Xbox, the Xbox 360, Windows, and Mac. It was later added to the Master Chief Collection in 2014, which improved graphics and made the game available to new generation consoles like the Xbox One, Series X, and Series S. But what if I were to tell you that despite the various consoles that Combat Evolved is available on, there was one ported version of the game that never saw a public release and was barely acknowledged by Bungie? That port being for the Nintendo DS in 2007. Rumors of a handheld version of Halo Combat Evolved existed long before 2007. They first began in 2004 on various gaming forums, claiming that there is to be a collaboration between Nintendo and Bungie to port Halo to the Game Boy Advance as a side-scrolling game. However, these rumors didn't really take off until 2006. An article from GameSpot dated back to 2006 debunks these claims, reading, "Last weekend, forums were afire with word that Bungie was developing a version of Halo for the Game Boy Advance. Given the bitter GameCube Xbox console war, a collaboration between Microsoft and Nintendo is very unlikely, according to an official denial by Bungie of the Game Boy Advance Halo's existence." Still, the rumors persisted, fueled by visual evidence, which consisted of screenshots of a professional-looking side-scroller shooter, which is pictured in the article, that showed the Master Chief battling Covenant grunts and elites. The official denial, mentioned here, redirects to a page that was once on Bungie.net, however the page now 404s. Personally, I think this rumor is super odd. I think it would make more sense to start a rumor about it being ported to GameCube, but as the GameSpot article mentions before, there's the console war, so it's kind of pointless to make that rumor regardless, given the time. And it looks like someone shared the same sentiment as I do, as in 2005, a more credible rumor began circulating. And I use credible very loosely here because it's still a bit of a wacky rumor. The Gizmondo handheld console launched in 2005, and look at this thing, what a goofball. Anyways, a few articles from November of 2004 state that Microsoft was in a deal to develop games for the Gizmondo, thus spawning the rumor that there was a handheld version of Halo in development for the device. The credibility here was better than our last rumor simply due to the fact that Microsoft and Gizmondo had a legitimate reason to work with each other. However, the rumor was debunked by Bungie employees who stated that among the work Microsoft and Gizmondo were doing, Halo was not one of these projects. The Gizmondo would be discontinued 11 months after its release. Rumors about a handheld version of Halo were pretty quiet for a while following the failure of the Gizmondo. However, in 2007, rumors would reach new heights as a video would surface of Matt Casamassina showing off and playing Halo on the Nintendo DS. The Nintendo DS first launched in 2004, a good 3 years before rumors of a DS port for Halo surfaced. In fact, people were making the Game Boy Advance rumors the same year the DS came out, so why not make a rumor for the new upcoming console? Crazy world. Anyways, our discussion of the DS port starts on January 4th, 2007 in a now deleted IGN article from Matt Casamassina. Unfortunately, the article was not archived through the Wayback Machine. However, sources online that cite this article and their details about the DS port state that the article was simply called "I Played Halo on DS," where Matt would proceed to talk about his experience playing the DS port. While we can't view the original article to see if Matt talks about the legitimacy of the port, he uploaded a video later on in the year in which the description reads that the port was a tribute to Halo. So right off the bat, we get confirmation that this Halo port was not official. The video, uploaded on October 2nd, 2007, titled Halo 4 on DS, real footage in all caps mind you, features Matt showing off the game on the DS. The description of the video reads, "After the rumor of Bungie leaving Microsoft, here is a tribute to one of their projects," along with a link to Kotaku.com, which appears to be some sort of former article based on the URL. However, clicking the link just brings you back to the Kotaku homepage. In the video, Matt talks about how this was not made by a garage developer. In fact, it was done by a major publisher who wanted to bring Halo DS to fruition. Matt says that due to reasons he can't disclose, the project was never finished and thus was never playable to the public. However, he's able to show off some of the gameplay to what was done. The game had both single-player and multiplayer modes to play on. In fact, the multiplayer mode actually worked, and Matt starts a game with Mark, the other individual in this video. You play on the map Zanzibar, and looking at this demo, it's actually super well made. The touchscreen is used as your radar to detect where enemies are on the map, and you use the DS bumpers to change the way you're facing. At one point in the video, Mark says that you can throw grenades and swap weapons, and we almost get to see it when Matt is given the option to pick up a plasma rifle. We can actually see a warthog in this demo too, meaning that there could have been the possibility for you to drive around the map as well. This could have been great for the multiplayer mode, as one person could be operating the turret and the other driving, just like regular old Halo, but this time on the DS. There's a score counter in the top right of the screen, however the value does not increase during the entirety of this video, even after getting rid of the enemies. Something that's really interesting though is the addition of dual wielding weapons, a feature that was brand new to the Halo series, first introduced in Halo 2 in 2004. Matt says that in the video that the project is actually pretty old, at least a year back in development, maybe more than a year, putting this game a little bit after Halo 2 in terms of the timeline of development. This video is the only footage we have of gameplay regarding Halo DS. The demo made for it was never publicly released and was only shared with the folks at IGN. Matt doesn't mention in this video who the developers for the studio were, nor are there any mentions in online articles about it. This is the only real proof that there was in fact a proposed idea to bring Halo to the DS, thus confirming some of those rumors. The development could have started as far back as 2005, shortly after the rumors for the Gizmondo ran their course. Years after the game's release, the rumors about a handheld portable copy of Halo had finally been confirmed. Sorta. It's one of those odd scenarios where we have to dig deeper to get a better explanation as to what exactly happened to this demo. So let's go over the information we have. It was intended for the Nintendo DS, it was made by a large game developer, and had been in development for a little over a year at the time of 2007 when it was cancelled. So who was this big name publisher that had been working with the developers making this demo? And where did they go? An article from SiliconEra.com titled Bungie, If Halo DS Existed, It Wasn't From Us, written July 18th, 2007, before the video from Matt was published, features an interview from E3 with two Bungie employees giving us the first acknowledgement of the demo from Bungie. The employees, Brian Jarrett and Frank O'Connor, claimed that although Casamassina had written an article about the game, it was likely an unsolicited demo copy that was made to pitch the idea of Halo on the DS to Bungie and Microsoft, and that Bungie was not responsible for the development of this game. There's two leading theories about the creation of this game, and both are linked to the game GoldenEye Rogue Agent for the DS. Let me explain. The demo that was created, including the HUD, is extremely similar to that of GoldenEye Rogue Agent. I'm going to put some comparisons on screen, but you can kind of see how the movement is similar. There's dual wielding, and even the text font is pretty much identical. One theory states that it's possible that Halo DS is actually a modded version of GoldenEye, and the mod was used to pitch the game as simply a concept. This is pretty logical to me in the sense of it just being a pitch, as it was pretty much just saves time for the developmental process of the game, especially if you have a whole studio working on developing it. Rogue Agent was released on the DS in 2005, putting us 2 years before the video released by Casamassina, which, yeah, this roughly lines up with our timeline, a good year and a half of development. Perhaps it was released, they saw how well it was doing, and decided after a bit to start working on a pitch to bring Halo into the fray, given how popular that game is, and since it's in the same genre of gaming. However, the same facts used to argue for theory number 1 can be applied with a different perspective to argue that it was not a mod, instead leading me to theory number 2. Theory number 2 is that Halo DS was developed by the same people behind the DS port of Rogue Agent. I feel like this makes a little bit more sense in the scope of the game taking over a year to make. Yet again, I'm literally clueless to when it comes to modding games, or programming really, so take what I say with a grain of salt. When we take a look at other FPS games for the DS developed by the same groups who worked with Halo DS, we see that there are quite a few similarities, at least in the HUD. Perhaps this developer found a format that worked for the other FPS game ports and applied it to other games. Looking at various releases for their FPS games, the HUD is usually a big map in the center of the second screen, and a selection of your weapons on it appear as well. We see this in Halo DS, Rogue Agent, 007, Modern Warfare Mobilized, all these games coming out at different points in time. Regardless of if this demo is a mod though, I've theorized that the most convincing leading theory for development is that the game was being developed by Nspace and EA Tiburon, and that the game was meant to be published by Electronic Arts. Boom, our big AAA developer and publisher has been found, right? Well, not quite. Proving that Electronic Arts was behind this demo has never really been done. Sure, we can theorize and make pretty safe assumptions based on our supporting evidence, however, there is nothing from EA proving that they're behind this project. In my past video about Spore and the cancelled content from that game, we discussed an unreleased game made by EA that still had its available information on their end-user license agreement page on their website. But since this demo was never intended for public use, there was no reason to make an EULA, so proving it through any of their online available documentation is not possible. So now we have to look at all of our supporting information to the theory that EA is behind the development of this game. Microsoft and Electronic Arts are no stranger to each other, given the competition among the gaming industry. However, a decent amount of games produced or published from 2000 to 2009 were made available on Microsoft consoles, including Windows and the Xbox. EA and Nintendo are good buds. Quite a few games made for the DS came from Electronic Arts developers. In fact, the list of games published and developed from EA from 2000 to 2009 have over 60 titles released on the Nintendo DS. Coming back to Rogue Agent real quick, it was made by EA Tiburon and Nspace. Nspace having developed tons of games for the Nintendo DS, in fact also making games for the Xbox 360. The majority of these games, however, were published by Activision, not Electronic Arts. In fact, EA games were only ever published with Rogue Agent, and that's because EA Tiburon was working on the project. So we're in a bit of a weird space here if EA was going to publish this game or not. However, their involvement with Nspace is quite notable in this case. It's possible that Activision could have been involved as well, but I feel like that's going to clutter things up. Given our information, it seems that EA affiliates developed the demo, and EA may have pitched this project to Microsoft to try to bring this to the Nintendo DS. It's possible the pitch was never even made. It's possible that work on the game stopped before they got the chance to go to Microsoft. It's possible that Microsoft said no to working with Nintendo. It's such a strange scenario that we can't be sure anyone is even officially linked to it, and our only solid evidence is everything presented by Matt Casamassina. This is a case where lost media goes from being simply a rumor to a full-blown reality. A reality where things get bumpy along the way to making things come to fruition. A reality where a demo to a lost rumor can suddenly turn up and then never be seen again. A reality where we have to sit back and wonder and ask ourselves so many questions to try to get the answers as to what happened to this thing. In my own personal opinion, I think the game may still be with IGN. We know that there were 2 copies, as both Matt and Mark played it, so it's possible that there may be more. Where they could be though, I have no idea. Finding lost unreleased demos from companies that may or may not have involvement with is an extremely difficult task. Is it impossible? No. Unlikely? Yes. N-Space went defunct in 2016, and EA has never officially been linked to this. Bungie had no involvement, thus they cannot help on the matter. It's sad to think that something with so much potential can just disappear without a trace, possibly never to be found again, but with lost media, that's almost never the case. So there's my analysis on the Halo DS subject. When I initially went into the search, I was under the belief that this was simply just some homebrewed mod that was created to fuel the rumors. However, the rabbit hole went so much deeper. I honestly wish that there was more concrete evidence leaking this game to more companies and organizations. Then maybe the search would have decent contacts. I wanted to do a brief overview analysis of the game instead of making this a video, a big search, because really there's not much to do on that front. There's only like 3 or 4 solid names in the search. My reason for talking about it, however, is to try to get more people looking. Trying to get more people to talk, discuss, and even hunt for this piece of media is my real goal. Because honestly, it looks like it could be a good game, and it could be better if given the right opportunity to grow. Finding lost DS games isn't something new to this day and era. The lost McDonald's training game from Japan was found in 2020, and the Clueless Fashion DS game was found in 2021. We're living in an era where finding lost media is becoming more and more common, and for those who make the journey to uncover these pieces of intriguing media, I admire you. I hope one day this game is found, and if not, hopefully we can get more information about its existence. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and give me a comment, tell me what you think. If you like this video and are interested in more of my videos and more of my content, consider subscribing. It's free, and you can click that bell icon to be notified of my next upload. I am obligated to tell you all that I have memberships. There's not any good perks. In fact, I don't think there's any perks, but if you give me $1, I'll put your name at the end of this video. Not this video, but future videos. Anyways, as always, guys, it's been a blast, and I will see you all next time. Peace.